Hi, and welcome to my yoga playground. My name is Kay Petrie, and today we're going to go through a power yoga class. So are you ready to work hard? Let's get started. We're going to start at the top of our mats in mountain pose. Standing bone hip width apart. Let's place our feet on the ground, all four corners of the feet on the inhale, lifting the toes, letting them drop. On our next inhale, let's lift the heels and let them drop. Arms to our sides, shoulders back and down. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and out through the nose. Beginning today's practice actively on the inhale, arms up towards the sky, hands together. Exhaling, hands to heart center all the way down. Let's move through this about 10 times, inhaling as we rise. Exhaling, hands to our heart center. Just beginning by slowly warming up our bodies today. Let's make sure that we have with us our blocks if we need them, a strap, a water bottle, and maybe a towel, just in case you need extra padding for your knees, or maybe you just need to wipe the sweat off your brow because we're going to be working so hard today. Let's do a few more here. Inhaling as we rise, the hands up. Exhaling, hands to heart center. One more, inhaling up. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Right back to mountain pose. Preparing for our goddess flow, let's take one leg and step to the long edge of our mat. Toes out, heels in. Squatting down, let's bring the knees in line with the big toes, sinking down as far as we can. And then goal posting the arms. Let's hold here for a few breaths. Engaging our quads, our hamstrings. Pushing down through our tailbone. On the inhale, let's come up, fingertips together. On the exhale, sinking down. Let's bring the elbows right into our sides. Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling down. Let's do this about 10 times, flowing, building heat in our body. Feel free to have some good music on in the background. That can be anything from hard rock, if that's what you like, some pop music, or maybe just some really relaxing, calming tunes, depending what you need today. Reminding ourselves as we practice today to work hard, but not to push ourselves beyond our limits. Listening to our bodies, making sure that we don't push through pain, and recognizing the difference between being uncomfortable and pain. So it's okay to be uncomfortable, but we do not want to work through pain, holding back if we need to. All right, next time we come up, let's come into sun pose, arms out to the sides, palms up, shoulders back and down. Taking a deep breath in, exhaling. Let's do a few of those here. Opening up our heart center, shoulders are back and down. We're going to be building heat in our bodies today. Flowing through a sun flow, let's bring the arms up together on the inhale, palms together, exhaling. Squatting, tailbone back, leading through the heart. Let's scoop our hands out in front of us, and then reversing that, coming up, long spine, and all the way up. Exhaling as we come down, hinging from the hips, squatting, scooping our hands, inhaling as we rise. Let's do this about 8 to 10 times. One breath per movement. Inhaling, we rise. Exhaling, we come down. Making sure that we're moving at our own pace. Don't worry how fast I'm going or how slow I'm going. Don't worry about what your neighbor's doing. This is your practice. Focusing on our breath, the sensations in our body, forgetting about everything that's going on around us, making our mat our little sanctuary for today. Two more. Next time we're up, palms together, hands to our heart center, stepping up to the top of our mats again, preparing for our chair flow. Standing bone hip width apart, spreading the toes wide, finding our ground underneath our feet. Inhaling, arms up to the sky. Exhaling, squatting into chair. Let's hold this pose for a few seconds. Knees are in line with the big toes or the middle toes. Just slightly above the toes. We sink down as far as we can. Engaging those quads. And we have options for our hands. For the most work, the hands are all the way up. We can come just out in front, or we can bring hands to our quads if we need to. Very good. Let's inhale, come up. And we're going to flow, exhaling into chair. Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling into chair. Let's do this about 10 times. Bringing our arms out to our sides and up as we inhale, and to the front of us as we exhale. But finding whatever works for us, for our arm positions. And let's do two more. And back into our mountain pose. Wonderful. We should be starting to warm up now. On the inhale, let's bring the arms up. Exhaling, hinging from our hips, leading through our hearts, forward fold. Let's hang out here for a few breaths. We can maybe sway side to side. There's no need to be still. There's always movement. On our next inhale, coming to monkey, hands to shins, we straighten out the legs a little bit, long back. We reach out through the crown of the head and lift through our tailbone. And getting ready for our first down dog of the day, let's take a deep bend in the knees, plant both hands into the ground, and we can step or jump back, bringing ourselves into downward facing dog. Spreading the fingers wide, pressing into the front of the hands, bringing the heels towards the earth, slight bend in our knees. We bring the tailbone up to the sky. Heart center comes down towards our quads. Long line from our neck, all the way up to the tailbone. Nice V shape in our bodies. Let's move a little bit here. We can pedal the feet out left and right, or we can let both heels drop to the right and then both heels drop to the left, doing that a few times. Coming back to our full down dog. Bringing ourselves to our knees and into our child's pose. Reminding ourselves today that in child's pose is a place of rest. At any point during any practice that you're ever in, coming into child's pose if you need to. And there's many variations. We can stack the fists, bring forehead to the fists, arms to our sides, or arms extended with the forehead to the ground. Coming up onto all fours, preparing for our cat-cow flow. Let's align the joints. We have our wrists, elbows, shoulders We're shoulder width apart, knees directly underneath our hip bones, long spine. Let's take a deep inhale. Exhaling into cat, tailbone rounding the back, chin towards the chest. On the inhale, let's reverse that. Tailbone first towards the sky, softening the belly to the earth, shoulders back and down, and we gaze up. And then we flow. Exhaling for cat. Inhaling for cow. Warming up our body, warming up the spine now. We started off by warming up the larger body parts, our quads, our hips, our hamstrings. Now we're moving on to our spine. And at any time, if you feel confident and comfortable enough, closing the eyes and just losing yourself in this moment. Let's do 3 more of each. Using the breath as our guide. The breath will tell us if we're working too hard, or maybe we're not working hard enough. And coming back into our neutral spine. Long spine, we're elongating through the crown of the head, preparing for our spinal balance. Let's lift the right leg up, toes towards the shin. We kick out through the heel, squaring our hips and then reaching out through the opposite arm. So this time we have the right leg back, left arm out, palm in. Let's bring that shoulder back and down, and we're holding for strength today. Holding for 5 to 10 breaths. And here's a little trick for you. If you do have sensitive wrists, make a fist with your hand and place the butt of the fist to the ground. And I'll do that on the other side to demonstrate. Let's switch sides. This time the right arm is down. I'm making a fist to the ground, lifting up the left leg and reaching out. Actually, the other side, I made a mistake there. Left arm down. Left leg up, right arm extended. So as you can see, I'm making a fist. And that helps solidify the wrist joint. We're engaging our entire core center here. We're tucking that navel up into towards the spine, reaching out through the crown of our head, engaging the glutes and kicking out through the heel. The leg is no higher than our glutes. On the exhale, let's come down. Very good. Let's come back into child's pose. And this time, beginning to warm up our shoulders, extending the arms out. Starfishing the hands into the mat. On our next inhale, coming into our kneeling plank. Shifting forward, elbows or shoulders come just ahead of our wrists. Long spine. And then on the exhale, back to our child's pose. Let's flow through that. Inhaling, kneeling plank. Exhaling, child's pose. We want to take it a little bit further. Once we come into our kneeling plank, let's come into a crocodile. Push back up. And then back to child's pose. As we come into crocodile, elbows stay tucked into our sides, and our shoulders are away from our ears. There's no need to come into the full version yet. We're simply just warming up our bodies here. Let's do 3 more. And remember, there's no need to add that push-up in there. It's wherever our bodies are coming back into child's pose. Taking a few breaths here. And we can step or jump up in between our hands for a forward fold. Hanging out here for a few breaths. Let's bring the hands to shins for monkey pose. Exhaling, bend in the knees. Inhaling, reverse swan dive, coming all the way up. Let's bring our hands together and to our sides. Very good. We should be nicely warmed up now and getting ready to go into our sun salutations. Taking a drink if we need to, and taking a step up to the top of our mats. We'll begin with 1 round of modified sun salutations and then moving into our full, but making sure that you take the variation that works best for your body. On the inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhaling, forward fold. Getting ready to do some work here. Inhaling, monkey pose. Exhaling, forward fold, stepping back with the right, coming into a kneeling lunge with a crescent lunge option. Exhaling, child's pose. Inhaling, kneeling plank. Exhaling, crocodile, holding. And then inhaling down to our bellies for baby cobra. Exhaling back to child's pose. Inhaling, stepping up with the right. Crescent lunge option, or we can have the hands to our thigh or to the ground. Stepping up on the exhale, forward fold, inhaling as we rise. Let's add a chair pose in here. And then inhale, coming up. Let's do the other side. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling for monkey. Exhaling, forward fold. This time we're stepping back with the left. Coming into our lunge. The back toe is tucked or not, our choice. And then pushing back into child's pose on the exhale. Inhaling, kneeling plank. Exhaling, crocodile. Inhaling for baby cobra. And right back to child's pose on our exhale. Inhaling, stepping up with the left for our lunge. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling into chair. Beautiful. Are we ready to go with the full version now? Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling, forward fold. Let's remember we can always choose the modified option if we want. Inhaling for monkey. Exhaling, forward fold, stepping back with the right again, this time full lunge. Inhaling, crescent lunge or hands to our thighs, our choice. Exhaling, planting the hands, downward facing dog. Inhaling, full plank. Exhaling for our crocodile. Inhaling, upward facing dog. And all the way back to down dog. Very good. Let's take that right leg up to the sky, stepping up in between the hands. Crescent lunge. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling into chair. Other side, inhaling up. We are warming up. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling for monkey. Exhaling, forward fold. Let's step back with our left foot this time. Full lunge. Knee stacked over our ankle. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Are you feeling it yet? Inhaling for our plank. Exhaling, crocodile. Inhaling, we flip the feet, gaze up, upward facing dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Let's take the left leg up to the sky, step up in between the hands for our lunge. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling into chair. Are you ready for one more each side? Let's do it. Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling for monkey. Don't forget you can stop anytime you need to. Exhaling, forward fold, right foot back. Full lunge option. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Plank, crocodile, upward dog. And right back to down dog, flowing with our breath, taking the right leg up to the sky, stepping up in between our hands. Inhaling, crescent lunge. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling as we rise. And exhaling right back into chair. One more side, inhaling up. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling for monkey. Exhaling down, left foot back. Last side, inhaling, crescent lunge. Exhaling down dog. Inhaling for a plank. Notice one breath per movement. Exhaling crocodile. Inhaling up dog. And let's go right back. Downward facing dog. We're on our left side, so left leg up. Step up in between the hands. Crescent lunge. Or remember, the option to keep the hand on our quad or even bring fingertips to the floor. On the next exhale, forward fold. Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling into chair. Let's hang out here for a few breaths. Let's remember the options for our hands. If we're working on balance on any poses, we can always use a wall or a chair, reminding ourselves that this is not a competition. Let's inhale, come up, and exhale. Let's exhale through our mouths. Let the heat out. Take a drink if we need to. And then we'll be moving into the work portion of this workout. Moving on to the work portion of our workout today. Let's come to the top of our mats for mountain pose. Preparing for our next down dog. Inhaling as we rise, the arms up. Exhaling, forward fold. Probably finding a little bit more length in our legs right now. We might be able to straighten them out a little bit more. Exhaling, coming down, moving back into downward facing dog. Our second down dog of the day. Well, probably more than that, I guess. We've done some sun salutations. Let's hang out here for a few breaths. Bending the knees, shoulders are back and down. Don't worry if the heels aren't touching the ground. Slight bend in our knees. Let's lift the tailbone up towards the sky. On our next inhale, right leg up to the sky for a three-legged dog. Just play around with pointing the toes and then bringing the toes in towards the shin, feeling the difference. And then coming back down, switching sides, left leg up towards the sky. As we're in a three-legged dog, we're still working that other heel down towards the earth, feeling a deep stretch in that hamstring. And then stepping that down, coming back into our full down dog. Looks like I'm losing some tape from my headset here. All right. Let's take that right leg up to the sky again, getting ready for our warrior one, stepping up in between the hands. Let's drop the back heel at an angle. With the strength of our core, let's come all the way up. Bringing the arms up, lifting, and then sinking down. Bringing our hips towards the front of the mat. Feeling strong like a warrior. Let's move those shoulders away from the ears and bring them back and down. Checking our alignment. We're holding here for about 5 to 10 breaths. Spreading the mat apart with our feet. Our knee is stacked over the ankle. Knee is in line with the big toe. If the shoulders tire at any point here, we can always bring the hands to our hips. Lifting up through the heart. Taking care that we're not sinking into our lower back, so lifting up through the spine as we lunge forward through the leg. Let's take an inhale, lift. Exhaling, opening for warrior two, adjusting the back foot for comfort. Chances are we can take a little bit of a wider stance here and lunging into our warrior two, shoulders back and down. Arms in line with the shoulders, we can gaze out to the front fingertips. If we start to shake here, that's okay. We can always lift the knee a little bit, take a break, come back down. Preparing for reverse warrior, flipping the front palm. Let's hinge forward, creating space, and then lifting up and over. Resting the back hand on the back quad and lunging into the front leg as we lift up through the front ribs. We can gaze up to the top hand or look forward or down. Very graceful pose. We still keep those warrior legs. They're shaking right now. We feel space in this side of our body and openness. We're stretching on this side and contracting on this side. Let's lift. Come back into warrior two on the exhale. Let's hinge the front arm, preparing for side angle. Bringing the forearm to our quad and lifting up the arm towards the sky, palm facing forward. Taking care not to set all the weight into the quad. And if we want, we can grab a block here. Working on our way down towards the floor, remembering there's nothing special about the floor. So a block is great here. We're working on that openness, opening up the left hip, opening up the left shoulder and the heart. Then bringing the arm up. If it's available to us, we can bring the arm behind us. We can always clasp if we want to. Always an option. If the arms tire, bring the hand to the hip. From here, taking the top hand, let's bring it to the inside of the right foot, pivoting the back foot forward so the toes are pointing forward and we're in a lunge. Preparing for a twisting lunge. We can keep the block here if we want. And revolving towards the front leg. Twisting starting from the belly button, working our way up for our twisting lunge. We're pushing back through the back heel. Feel free to drop the knee if we need to. Keeping our knee alignment in the front. And on the next exhale, coming down, taking the block away if we've used it, planting the hands, moving through a half series. Let's come into downward facing dog. Inhaling, plank. Exhaling, crocodile. Inhaling, up dog. And exhaling, right back to downward facing dog. This time, let's take the left leg, bring it up to the sky. Step up in between the hands. Planting the back foot down, coming into warrior one on the other side now. Holding for 10 breaths. Always working the same thing from left to right. Noticing the difference in our body from left to right. It's not always the same. And we're not judging, we're just taking notice. Taking notice so that we know how to modify or perhaps work harder. Inhaling, let's rise. Exhaling, opening up, Warrior Two. Moving through the same series. Adjusting the back foot if we need to. And finding our perfect spot for this pose. If we find that the front knee is not able to stack over the ankle, perhaps we need to take a step in a little bit with the back foot. Two more breaths. On the next inhale, lifting up. Exhaling, back to Warrior Two, flipping the front palm, hinging forward, making space. Inhaling up and back. Exalted Warrior. Taking care as when we lift it up through the ribs, that we didn't lift the knee up, we're still keeping those warrior legs. Creating that space in the heart center, in between the ribs. We're pushing that mat apart with our feet. Really feeling grounded here. On the next inhale, let's rise. Exhaling, Warrior Two, and coming into our perfect side angle pose. Remembering the block is an option. The goal here is to open up the hip, open up the shoulder, and the heart. There's absolutely nothing special about the floor. We can look down, forward, or up. And on the next exhale, right arm comes down to the inside of the left foot. Preparing for our twisting lunge, we twist the toes so that they face the front of the mat. And again, a block is an option. There's nothing embarrassing about a block. Even the most experienced yogis, if they're letting go of ego, will use props. So from here, dropping the knee if we need to. Otherwise, we start twisting from the belly button, opening up the heart, gazing up towards the sky. Pushing through the back heel, engaging that quad. Reaching out through our fingertips. We can gaze up, forward, or down. Our legs are shaking right now. Maybe we're sweating. It's all good. On the next exhale, coming down, let's move the block out of the way. One more half series. Coming into down dog. Inhaling for plank, exhaling for crocodile, inhaling for up dog, choosing modified versions if we need to, and coming right back to our downward facing dog. Let's step or jump up in between our hands, coming into a forward fold. Inhaling, reverse swan dive. Exhaling, hands to our heart center. Perfect. Let's take a drink if we need to. Lots of work happening here. Preparing for our chair and twisting chair flow. Inhaling, arms up to the sky. Let's take a stance If our lower backs are healthy enough, where we bring the toes together and the heels are slightly apart. If we have a tender lower back, let's keep the feet bone hip width apart. On our next exhale, bringing our hands to our heart center. And I'll provide a few options here. If we've chosen to keep the feet bone hip width apart, we sink down into chair, bringing the right hand to the left outside of the left thigh, and bringing the left hand to our sacrum, twisting from the belly button, looking up. If we've chosen to keep the feet together, sinking into chair, twisting, starting from the belly button, bringing the outside of our elbow, the elbow to the outside of the knee, twisting from the belly button, gazing up. We have options. We can open up our wingspan if we wish, or just keep our hands to our heart center. Holding for a few breaths, our goal is to keep our knees in line with each other. So if we've twisted to a point where one knee is way ahead of the other, let's pull it back a little bit. On our next inhale, coming to center. All the way up, opening up our wingspan. Exhaling. Inhaling up. Exhaling, let's take the other side. And let's remind ourselves, every side is different. So we may choose to modify here or not. Our choice. And the same applies for any pose. Let's make sure our necks are in a comfortable position in line with the spine. And we can gaze front, side, or up, whatever's most comfy for us. On the next inhale, let's come to center. Exhale, inhaling up. Opening up the heart and the wingspan. Exhaling, inhaling up. Exhaling, hands to our heart center. Beautiful, we're working those legs today. Inhaling as we rise. Another half series, forward fold. Stepping back, downward facing dog. Inhaling for plank. Exhaling crocodile. Inhaling up dog. And right back to downward facing dog. Let's pedal out the feet here. Catch our breath. Bring the right leg up to the sky, three-legged dog. Stepping up in between our hands, coming up into a warrior one stance, dropping the back foot. Let's come all the way up and sink into warrior one. Moving into pyramid pose, let's bring the hands to our hips. Adjust the back foot so that the toes are pointing forward, taking a step in if we need to. Grabbing a block if we need to. Squaring the hips to the front of the mat, let's take an inhale, lift through the heart center. Exhaling, we're hinging from the hips, pushing the tailbone back, bringing the ribs in towards our thigh. No worries if there's a slight or deep bend in that front knee. Avoiding the knee, but we can hold on to the quad, the shin, fingertips to the floor. Or again, using our props. Let's bring those blocks down. The blocks help us work our way down towards the floor. Let's find some length in that back hamstring. Let's inhale, rise through the heart. Exhaling, deeply, coming down. Let's do that a few times. Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling, folding over. Inhaling again. Taking care to keep that long spine not rounding through the back, extending through the heart center, reaching through the crown of the head, and then bringing the ribs towards the front quad. This is a deep, deep stretch. We have the option here, if we want to, for a chest expansion, bringing the arms behind us, clasping the hands if we can, working the knuckles up to where the wall meets the ceiling, shoulders back and down, as we continue to work the heart center towards our front quad. Let's release, remove the blocks, moving through a half series, downward facing dog. Coming into plank, crocodile, up dog, and back to down dog. Let's move on to the other side, left leg up to the sky, stepping up in between the hands, warrior one. We've been here before, let's come up. All the way up, sinking into our warrior one. Beautiful. Perhaps we're finding more openness in our hips right now, so maybe we can twist a little bit more. A few more breaths. Inhaling, let's lift, hands to our hips, stepping up a little bit, pointing both sets of toes towards the front of the mat. Pyramid pose on the other side. Let's grab those blocks if we need to. Placing fingertips either to the blocks, the floor, the shin, or the quad. Let's lift up through the heart on the inhale. Exhaling, folding forward. Let's do that a few times. Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling, forward, forward fold. Trying again, lifting up, exhaling, forward folding. Let's make sure the hips are squared to the front of the mat. Both sets of toes pointing forward. And in pyramid pose, we scissor the legs towards each other. So picture a pair of scissors that you're trying to close. Really creating that dynamic tension. Opting for our chest expansion here again if we want. And if we feel that we need to move in this pose, let's just continue lifting as we inhale, folding as we exhale. Chances are we're finding a little bit more length every time we do that. Moving our blocks out of the way if they're there. Another half series, downward facing dog. Inhaling for plank, exhaling crocodile, inhaling for up dog, and right back to down dog. Let's step or float up in between our hands. Forward fold. We've been hard on our wrists here. Let's move into gorilla pose. Taking a deep bend into our knees, stretching out the wrists. We're going to take the hands and place them underneath the feet so that the toes connect with the wrists. From here on the inhale, let's lift up. Lift up through the shoulders, push down through the feet. Shoulders, bringing them back and down. Trying to bring the tailbone up as well. We're stretching everything out here, the wrists, the shoulders, the hamstrings. Releasing. Reverse swan dive, coming all the way up. Hands to our heart and getting ready for our balancing poses. We'll start with eagle pose today. Bringing ourselves to the top of our mats. I'll face the camera. Let's start with the right leg, so placing the left leg into the mat, reminding ourselves we can have a chair or a wall, anything at all. Even the most experienced yogi will find days where they're very wobbly. So let's do with what works for us today. Today is different than yesterday, is different than 1 hour from now, is different from tomorrow. So let's go with what's happening right now. Finding our balance, bringing the weight into the left leg. Let's cross that right leg over. We can stay here, or if it's available to us, we can tuck the toes behind that left shin onto our calf. From here, left leg, left arm under, right arm on top. Let's cross at the elbows. And then if it's available, we bring the palms together. Inhaling, lifting through the elbows. Finding our balance. Exhaling, sinking down, almost into a chair pose. Finding our, what they call drishti, our gaze. Let's bring our focus onto the forearms. I'm working on my balance today. Let's release, come all the way up. Unravel everything. Hands to our heart. Let's exhale through the mouth. Taking care that when we're in our balancing poses that we're not holding our breath. We're just trying to hold the pose. And flow is okay. Coming out of the pose, coming back into it is perfectly okay as well. Let's come into that right foot. Cross the left leg over. Tuck if we can. Very good. This time let's bring right arm under, left arm on top. We cross. Lift the elbows. We feel the stretch in the shoulders and the back. Let's sink down. Trying to find all four corners of our feet instead of coming to the outer part or front or back. Breathing. Smiling even. If you're falling out of it, laugh. Let's not judge. We're here to have a good time. We lift up through the heart in this pose, taking care to not fold over. And we're bringing everything in to the midline. Squeezing in. Let's unravel, come all the way up. Hands to our heart center. Even exhaling through the mouth, letting go of some heat. Getting ready for our quad stretch or dancer's pose, whatever we choose today. Finding ourselves in mountain. Taking the right hand and grabbing onto the inside of our shin. Finding our balance. Let's use that wall or chair if we need to. Personally, balancing poses have always been my nemesis. I work on them all the time. So we can stay here for a quad stretch. That's okay. If we want to take it further, we start hinging from the hips, leading through the heart, reaching through that front arm. We press the hand into shin, shin into hand, and we kick out through the back leg. Slight bend in our left leg. Dancer's pose. We're probably shaking. We've done tons of leg work so far. And coming down. Beautiful. Let's move on to the other side. Many of us are extremely tight in our hips and quads. If we're sitting at a desk all day, if we're very active otherwise, running, cycling. Some of us, even though we're yoga teachers, we're also very active in other sports. So, we're not necessarily the most flexible yoga teachers. Let's come into quad stretch. And then choosing what works for us here. We can always use a strap around the ankle if we need to. If we're working our way towards grabbing onto that ankle. Or perhaps we're grabbing onto the pant leg, that's okay too. Let's move in to our dancer's pose, our favorite spot. Whatever works for us today. Focusing on the breath, finding a point to focus on, and coming out. Beautiful. Let's take an inhale, arms to the sky. Exhaling through the mouth. Coming into mountain pose. Gorgeous. Let's inhale up. Exhale down. We're making our way onto the floor. We're going to do a side bow today. Let's come onto our right side. And side bow is great, especially if we're extremely tight in these areas. It might be a little bit easier to do a side bow. Let's use the strap if we need to. We can come onto our sides, keeping the bottom leg in line with the side body, grabbing onto our shin, and then simply pulling back. Let's work the knee in towards the other leg instead of letting it come all the way up. And we pull back as far as is comfortable for us. And letting go. Switching sides. So you can face the other side of the mat if you want, or just simply face the other end of the mat. Whatever works best. Doing the same thing on this side. Let's remember, we need to listen to our bodies. Chances are we're not used to listening to our bodies. So we really have to take special care to really listen. Ask ourselves, what is it telling us? And just because it might be, you might think that it's telling you that it hates you right now because you're working so hard, that's just your mind talking. Your body loves this because you're taking care of it. As long as you're not pushing it to where it shouldn't be going. Let's come out of bow pose and come into a seated position, facing the short edge of our mat into staff pose. Finding our sitting bones, sitting tall. Let's bring the toes in towards the shin. Taking a deep inhale, arms up to the sky. And then bringing our hands to our sides. Taking the left foot to the inside of the right thigh. Sitting tall. Whenever we're in these seated positions, we can also always sit on a block or a pillow if that's more comfortable for us. Taking an inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhaling, twisting towards the open part, and then bringing our right arm to the inside of the right leg. Now, depending on our flexibility, we can stay here. The arm can also just be to the inner thigh. We can grab onto the foot, or we can also use a strap here if we want to. Okay. The goal is to keep the heart open. Let's reach the left arm up towards the sky and then reach over the ear. Even though we're reaching over, that shoulder is still back and down. For a seated revolved head to knee. So we're working the head towards the knee. Some of us might be able to get that head to the knee. Not me. And I'm okay with that. We're feeling lots of openness in these ribs. On the next inhale, let's come up and then twist forward, switching sides. Finding our adjustment here on the inhale, arms up, twisting towards the open side, reaching over towards the foot, finding whatever works for us, and then reaching up and over. Let's remember, let's use a strap if we need to. There's nothing special about grabbing the foot. Okay. What we are aiming for is the twist, the open heart, the open shoulder, and reaching up and over. Tender shoulders, that's okay. Let's just bring the arm to our side. Inhaling, coming up, twisting, gazing forward. Beautiful. Let's do a little bit of ab work. Grabbing behind one knee. Let's bring ourselves onto our backs. Perhaps just rolling side to side a little bit. Bringing the hands behind the head. Let's remember in any ab work, the hands behind the head is simple, gentle support. We are not pulling on the head or neck. We simply lift up through the heart center and with our shoulders. More specifically, right from here, right from the heart. On the inhale, let's inhale. On the exhale, let's crunch up. Very good. Inhaling back. Let's add some legs. We're going to bring knee to opposite elbow. Inhaling back. Exhaling, other side. Now we can choose to bring the foot down to the ground every time. Or for a little bit of extra work, we can reach the leg out as we come down. Or we can always keep the legs up. So we have lots of options when it comes to doing our ab work. Even though we're doing ab work, we're still doing yoga because we're breathing through the pose. We're moving with intention and with kindness to our bodies. Something that you will not see in boot camps, perhaps. Very good. Let's come down. Soles of the feet to the ground. Bringing knees to chest, grabbing behind the knees. Gently rocking side to side if we want to. Preparing for bridge pose, soles of the feet to the ground. Ankles are underneath our knees and our knees are hip width apart. Arms and hands to the ground. And on the inhale, lifting up through the tailbone. Working the inner thighs towards each other. Let's hold here. If it's available to us, we can work the shoulders under and work the knuckles down towards the heels. Pretending that we have a ball in between our legs that we're squeezing. Even actually taking our block, placing it there, and squeezing on the block. That will help engage our core. If we've clasped, let's let go. Let's have everyone bring the tailbone down to the ground. One more round of ab work, hands behind the head. Choosing what works for us. Coming into the bicycle again if we want to. Or just simple crunches. And two more. And let's come down, knees to chest. And this time we'll flow through bridge. Feet to the ground. Inhaling, bringing the hips up. While we're up here, let's bring the arms up, reach them behind us, and bring the tops of the hands to the ground. On the exhale, we bring everything back down. So hips and arms come down to our sides. beside our hips. Inhaling up. The arms are an option, we don't have to do them. Again, we're working those inner thighs towards each other, placing the block in between the thighs if we want to, especially if our knees are prone to fall out to either side. Coming down, knees to chest one more time. Soles of the feet to the ground. Let's prepare for a gentle spinal twist, bringing the arms out to either side. Letting both knees drop to the left. Feeling a gentle stretch in our lower backs. And just letting go. Holding here for about 5 breaths. Inhaling to center, exhaling to the other side. Bringing our legs back to center, rolling onto one side and bringing ourselves back up to seated. Just coming into an easy seated pose. Let's take an inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhaling, twisting, starting from the belly button. Let's bring the left hand to the right knee, bringing the right hand behind us and just twisting, gazing to the back shoulder if we can. Otherwise, we gaze to the side wall or just out in front. On the next exhale, coming to center. Inhaling, arms up to the sky. And exhaling, twisting. Inhaling and exhaling, coming back to center. Taking a few moments here with the eyes closed, a few breaths. Taking a moment of recognition for what our body has done for us today. Even if we had to stop, even if we had to go into child's pose to rest, you did more than most. And be grateful for that and thankful for what your body has given you and done for you today. Let's bring our hands to our heart center and bow to each other. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. My name is Kay Petrie and this is my yoga playground.